All right, we're here to talk about this Space Junk Scrapflex that was sent to me for an install. A little bit of a unique hilt with this particular build, so why don't we drop down to the table, talk about what those unique features are, go over the chassis design, show off a few functions, and come back out. We'll show off some blade styles and we'll wrap it up. Thanks for checking it out. All right, so here we have this Space Junk Sabers Scrapflex that was sent to me for an install. So right off the top, no set screws on this. You either remove the grip or the pommel section to either get access to the full chassis or just to the kill switch. Your blade retention is right here. We have a provided blade plug. Very cool. In the emitter chamber, we have a Shtok V3 NeoPixel that will just mimic what the blade does. This is a 7/8 blade holder, and it's programmed for a 32-inch length. I'll go ahead and throw in a little dagger blade here in a sec. Well, we'll do that in a second, just to show off some effects. But like I said, to get to the chassis, we can unscrew here at the grip to reveal the chassis. And so we have a speaker pod situation because this crystal chamber created a unique scenario where we didn't quite have enough to fit an 18650 with the Proffie and speaker. So everything was just a little off by a few because of this crystal chamber. But we were able to get the Proffie kicked at an angle. I do have this provided 18350, so this will come with the Saber. And we have access to our kill switch. So because we have a speaker pod situation, you can see the little Shtok PCB at that end. And then we have two little pogos. So this particular customer is a firefighter. And so when they came to me, they asked for two things. If we could get the Maltese cross in the chassis design, and if we could get the badge number into the chassis design. So that's what he sent to me. I did repeat it on this side. And then because we do, like I said, we have the ability to just access from the pommel, I thought it would be cool to go ahead and repeat it down here just because there's an area of unused space by these pogo pins. So we can pop the battery out to reveal the terminal indicator there. Obviously, spring side's your negative. And then we do have Space Junk Sabers there in the tray. Again, this is a high amp 18350. I left the wrap on. I think I've also sent a link to the owner of this so that they can get more because these do have a short runtime. But when we go to put it in, because we do have just a small nipple here to marry up to the chassis, I always recommend gripping the chassis and then just using your finger to push down into the tray. That way we're not yanking or doing anything like that. But we've got a crystal chamber with a Shadowfoil NeoPixel. Same NeoPixel that I put right here in the center of the Maltese cross. And then we just have some greeblies with some paint job, a little bit similar to what I've usually done. And then we have a very long 2020 NeoPixel strip that I just subdivided into two sections rather than doing four independent ones. So there you can see just splashes of color to differentiate. So the Proffie sits at an angle. So if you want to, you can get pretty much any kind of data cable to it. You will need to get some tweezers to pull the SD card out in order to do any font changes or things like that. So here's our kill switch. Again, we're not going to get a boot up, but we do have accent colors in the off state. Right now, this is on the battery level preset, which is the very last preset. So the main blade will have a little bubble, and I'll show that when we do the full blade demo. But down in the crystal chamber, this accent and here, it's just going to go from green to red. So this will give you an idea of how much charge. When the Saber's fully connected, you can do a battery level indicator by holding aux and tapping power in the off state. This is running OS 7.14. This is a Proffie v3.9. The FET263 prop file. So it has edit mode. It has all that stuff on here. If we want to advance presets, we use our copper Phil Guinness switches here on the left side. If the Saber's facing you with these weird little tines, I said that funny, tines. The left is your aux, and you can see the accent change, and then the right is your power. So here we can see there's a separate accent on the center pixel versus the outer ring on that. However, on the crystal chamber, I just put it all in line. So the center is basically the 7th of that. And then in our chassis strips, you can see the animations. So you do have gesture. So if we do a twist on, so we'll have a little bit of a power up effect. The colors change. On this particular one, the animation just changes a little bit. It's pretty subtle. We turn it back off. Now we're in a regular mode. Go to the next font. Again, because our speaker pod's down in here, we're not going to see anything. So let's go ahead and put that on real quick so we can hear some stuff. The speaker should live in the pommel, but if you needed to, you could kind of just drop it out. So there's our 28mm KR bass speaker. And then you just drop it back in all the way down. And so again, for quick access to turn on and off the Saber, you've got a kill switch access there. But ideally, you'll probably be taking the grip fully on and off for each use. So that you can see the accents and all that stuff. So the customer provided 3 sound fonts. So for the rest of the Saber, I used either free Proffie fonts, free grayscale fonts, or the Kyber Workshop from Kyberphonic, which is something that was developed for like the Disney Saber. So they're a little bit simplified in the sounds and colors. So here the emitter is firing. I just hit the power switch. And then if we wanted to, we can check the blade. So you just drop it down onto the pogo pins and then do our set screw. So now we can see things like that. And then if we turn it off, we'll get our ignition. So on to the next one. And you can see again the difference between the center and the outer pixels. You can see the crystals doing like a breathing animation. And then we've got just some different accent colors. So let's go ahead and put this back on so we can hear some of this. Okay. So this is the last of the 3 that were provided by the customer from J. DeLorean. And then most of these have preons, which you can only get to with button press. So again, very, very hot, very good resonance chamber. But because this is a smaller battery, do be mindful. If you hear anything that is questionable, it's more likely you're running the battery down. So with the blade off, you can double check. There's a percentage that the voice pack will provide if you hold aux and tap power.
Battery level 62%.
So I'll have this charged when it comes to you, but to the customer, I definitely want you to go ahead and probably buy your own extra one because you'll probably run these down within 15 to 20 minutes. So we move. So this one is a grayscale font, but it is part of the default Proffie fonts. And if we wanted to check out the chassis while that's on and light it up, you can see we got some different effects going there. And not all of them, but the crystal should always react to blaster blocks or clashes. And then these effects may or may not, depending on what I did. Because I've set up some typical blade styles that for different applications that lets you do like, you know, run effects, or like this is a pulsing effect. Or blinking, right? So I think maybe this one doesn't have one. It does have a preon, same as this, so it goes to white first. So anyway, yeah, no reactivity there. Some of them will, but for the most part, the crystal will, for sure. So here's the next font. Here's the next font again. And these are going to be the Kyber Workshop. So these are kind of simpler sounds. But all of the Canon colors, basically red, green, blue, white, purple, and yellow. So there we go. And again, we can hit the kill switch. And then I've set the timer for, I believe, 5 minutes. That may be 5 or 10 minutes, but I think I put it down to 5 minutes because this is a smaller battery size. So if you were going to leave this on the shelf after 5 minutes, the chassis accent lights will turn off and it won't respond to gesture controls. You'll have to do a button press for power to wake it back up. But that is the Saber. So put our blade plug back in, our kill switch off, and we're good to go for long haul. So let's go over some more functions with the blade in. Again, this is a 7/8 diameter blade holder, and it's set up for a 32-inch length. All right, so we talked about the chassis design. We showed off the accent features and kind of went over some basic functions. But I wanted to show off some more blade styles because a lot of the sound fonts were sent by the customer, at least 3 of them. So I'm going to show those for sure in this demo, but I also just wanted to kind of show off some other functions. But anything that's not covered, once again, will be on a printout, covers all of this stuff. This is running the FET263 prop file, and so you can go to the website, check about all of things that can be done with Proffie, but it's essentially the same instructions that are on that for a 2-button Saber. So again, I did mention down below, but to the left, if the Saber's facing you, that's aux. To the right is power. To ignite the Saber, we have 2 gesture controls. We have twist on or thrust on. And then those will get you into battle mode. So if you don't like battle mode and you want to control when your lockups happen, then you'll hit the power button. And because a lot of the blade styles that came with these sound fonts from J. DeLorean do have pre-ons, the only way to get the pre-on is to actually hit the button power. So I'm going to do that quite a bit here, but let's just start this up. So up top, I showed the first sound font, which was Kyber Radiance. We'll just briefly show that once again. So that had a real brief pre-on, and then that ignition sound kind of lasted for a while. Now we have our hum. So now we're just in regular mode, which means clashes will just be glancing effects, right? I'm not sure how much that shows up with this ambient lighting setup I've got, but if we want to do blaster blocks, we'll hold the aux button. And if we want to do a lockup, either power or aux, hold it as you clash the Saber. Go ahead, buddy. So we'll do it. All right. So as long as I'm holding the button, I'll be in a lockup. And I did mention, or I did show up top that a drag or a melt, melted would be sideways and a drag would be upside down. So again, those can be under your control with a button. So we also have twist off. So if we do twist on, we bypass that pre-on, and now we're in battle mode. So now a clash above a certain percentage will be a lockup. So if you do clash lightly, you'll just get a glancing effect. But for the most part, it'll be lockups. All right. So the second sound font that was sent to me, they didn't have names, but I went to the website to kind of just verify. I believe this is Prime. So it doesn't have a name, but again, it will have a pre-on. So let me show that real quick. Quite a bit going on with that one. This is a little bit of a light purple color. Again, this came from the font maker, so I don't have any idea of like what all it can do. But there's your blaster blocks. lockups. And then if we have a force effect, hold the power button for a second. I don't know if this shows up on camera, but it actually is wiping to a white color. And then I think after 5 seconds or something like that, it'll go back to purple. Yep, there it is. You can see it on my shirt. It's a real slow effect. So that's the force effect on this one. Again, that's hold power for 1 second when you're not upright. If you're upright, let's turn this off for a second. If you're upright, when the Saber is on or off, you will engage the designated soundtrack. So for each preset, I've picked one. If the font came with one, I did use that, but I put all of them under the common folder for track player mode, which I'll explain in a second. So if we're upright and hold power for 2 seconds, we get our soundtrack. Hold it again for 2 seconds to turn it off. So this didn't come with one, and I chose Duel of Fates. And we can get that if the Saber is on, but only if we're upright, okay? And turn it off with it upright. Otherwise, you're gonna do a force effect, okay? In the off state, you can get to the track player mode if you're horizontal by holding the same button for 2 seconds. It'll do a little chime, and then it'll start playing alphanumerically in the list of soundtrack. And I did throw a bunch on there in that folder so for you to find, but you'll do that real quick. And then scrolling to the left, we'll go backwards. Scrolling to the right, we'll go forward. If we hit power or aux, we'll stay on it, so now we're not rotating and changing the Saber anymore. But we can turn it back off. Again, if we're upright when the Saber's on, any other position, you can turn it off. So that's force player and track player and designated track. So let's show off the third sound font. Stardust. So again, this was provided by the client, another J. DeLorean font. So we'll show off the Prion. And this one's a bit of an unstable red. If we do a force effect, kind of goes crazy with the greenish yellow for a bit. But yeah. So pretty much out of universe sound fonts. So as far as in-universe sound fonts, I did use some of the default Proffie and then some of the Kyber Workshop from Kyberphonic. So I think the next one is one of the default Proffies. It's Coda. So this actually comes from Grayscale. It's now a part of the main Proffie fonts if you go to the Crucible. So this is sort of an out-of-universe sound effect. Also has a Prion, right? So an a Dodger blue blade color. I believe this is the blade style that came with it as well. There are no force effects on this particular sound font, but it might do a quick little animation. No. Okay.
Liquid static.
And so this one comes from Blue something or other, forgetting. And then this is the last of the Proffie fonts. Again, there's a bunch more on the SD card. I just don't have them programmed. So if you want to learn how to do that, I've got edit mode enabled. You can read on the printout how to get into edit mode. You can just basically duplicate one of the existing presets, change the sound font, change the color, you're on your way. So again, we'll show this off. This is also a blue, but it's kind of a lava lamp looking blue. No force effects. If you want to do a lightning block, you hold power and tap aux. If you want to change the colors, you hold aux and tap power. And I have one of the OS voice packs on here from Brian Connor. It's the C3PO.
Red.
and he will announce the colors.
Orange, red.
I'm not going to do that, but if you want to accept it, you hit power. I'm just going to hit aux to revert.
Revert.
He'll say revert. Now you're back in. Okay? Okay. So now we're into the Kyber workshop. So these are just going to be very simple original trilogy blade styles. And then you can hear the color blue. I did create this original trilogy in OS 7 with some edit mode options. So if you want to, you can turn on different ignition effects or power up effects or preons or things like that. So that there are options for both ignitions, retractions, but it's all in one style. So that'll be in the config. Config is on the SD card. Again, you don't have to learn how to do it. You can just jump into edit mode and just kind of scroll through the options. But I'm not going to cover that here. So there's another one. So you can see this one had a power up of like a burst of white. Now it's green. And same with the retraction spot. Purple. Same here, another power up, but this one was an unstable power up. Okay, now it's this light purple color. With the Kyber Workshop, there's not a lot of actual sounds. So you're gonna have a limited number of blaster blocks, limited number of clash sounds, etc.
Red.
So here's like a Vader. And I think I did the March. Okay, so bunch of sound. So anyway, that is going to cover most of it. I'm going to jump to the end for the battery level preset, a battery level indicator.
White. Battery level.
Okay, so now we're on the battery level. Now again, this does take an 18350, so your runtime is going to be maybe max 20 minutes. If you're lucky, you're probably going to hear weird sound effects like speaker crackle or audio dropouts. But you can see here we're at about, 80, maybe 75. If you want a real-time readout with the C3PO voice effects, you can hold aux and tap power with the blade off.
Battery level 63%.
So we're in the 63% range. The vice versa, holding power and tapping aux will get you into the volume level menu.
Enter volume menu. And
then scrolling to the right, we'll go up.
Maximum volume.
And I always tend to keep it one off the max. I think I programmed this at 2500. This is a 28 millimeter speaker, so you can get pretty hot, but I didn't want to run it too loud to run the battery down. So I always do it one click off, and then either aux or power will accept that.
Exit volume menu.
And he'll say exit volume menu. Again, he'll guide you through the edit modes. So he'll announce all of the menu systems. The menu architecture is on the printout. Again, you can learn more at the FET263 library. So there's a bunch more fonts that I do have programmed on here, a few grayscale, some other free fonts like the Kyber Workshop. And then there are all of the free grayscale sound fonts on the SD card, but not programmed. So if you want to get to those, again, you'll have to either use edit mode or learn how to make your own config. Again, the config's on the SD card. You can just back it up to your computer, learn about how to edit it. Each one of the grayscale has a blade style, so it should be in that folder. You can just copy that blade style into the config, and then you're on your way. So you'll have to run Arduino and do all that. So that is the Saber. I hope you enjoy it. Any questions to the customer, please feel free to email me, and I hope you enjoy it.